I'm a collage artist. Anything that can be glued, I glue. See, when I moved here, I was young. I was in my 20s. Now I'm in my late 60s. But people who moved in back then, they were middle-aged. And now they're all old and dying. And it's very sad. It's like living in a town. You see people, they grow up, they have children, their children grow up and have children, and then they die, and you become aware of a lot of stuff. I think that's the saddest thing, seeing people die, I guess. And if you're living in another building in the city, you don't even know. But here you do. It's like a little town, this building. And you know, you see kids when there's that actor who lived on this floor. What's his name? The one, Vin Diesel. He used to be an ugly pigeon-toed kid. And then all of a sudden he's a movie star. So you see a lot of this stuff too. You see people who become famous, and I've made friends. So like Merce Cunningham became a good friend of mine. That was nice. Shami Chaikin and Joe Chaikin. My boyfriend worked with the Open Theater, and as a result, I met the Open Theater through living in Westbeth, and then he became part of it, and then they traveled around the world, and I went along with them. And they were allowed to bring their wives or husbands, so I went along as Mrs. Meyer, which didn't go over too well in some of the Arab countries. But it's changed. They're more open now here at the building. When I moved in, if you were gay, you couldn't have a partner. They didn't. And I had my friend lived with me, and I couldn't say that he lived with me. I mean, now you can. But back then, everything was a big old secret. Living here has enabled me to make my art. I've lived off my art ever since I've been here. I never had to take a job. But because it's been so inexpensive to live here, I've been able to do that. And so I could make my art instead of worrying about where I'm going to get the rent from and everything. And it's a good thing. And there's this man next door to me who's nice, but he always carries bags in and out of his apartment. And late at night, I hear strange noises, and I used to say to Howard, or he'd run a saw, and I'd say, "What do you think he's doing?" "I think he's sawing up bodies." And Howard said, "No, he's making bombs." He's a nice man. I don't know, but I don't really know him. There are a lot of egos, and when there are so many artists, and some artists become more successful and some don't, there can be a little jealousies. There's a lot of people here fighting. The tenants, that's one reason I wound up keeping to myself, was they had tenants meetings and people would argue with each other, and I can't stand that, so I didn't go. And then I started thinking, oh, what a disaster this is. But it's not.